Happy Eid al-Fitr. Welcome to a newspaper review on Biscon television. I'm Olumide Sokoya. I also have here Stella Opara. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good to be here.
All right, on newspaper review, we will be taking out some of the top stories making the headlines today. I have this day newspaper. I also have the Nation newspaper. I have the Vanguard, and of course, I have the Nation Sport. Stella, what do you have?
Okay, I have the Guardian. I have Daily Sun. I have the Tribune and the Punch newspapers.
All right, so let's start off with this day newspaper. The headline reads, Buhari orders immediate suspension of Adamawa Rec. That's the resident electoral commissioner. The byline reads, directs Inspector General of Police to prosecute embattled officer if found liable. Seeks investigation of DSS, NSCDC officials. Also, according from Femi Falano, Binani is culpable, should be investigated. Insists acceptance speech, confirmed she was party to illegal announcement, and also urges NBC to sanction NTA for airing her acceptance speech. This is one of the stories that has been rocking the nation. It's how many days ago that the supplementary election occurred on Saturday. And on Sunday, while the collation was still going on, the resident electoral commissioner, that Hudu Ari, he went on to announce the All Progressive Congress APC governorship candidate, that's Aisha Dahiru, popularly known as Binani, as the winner. Later on, same day, that same Sunday, INEC came out and suspended him and said that that was not supposed to be, that was actually illegal and against the constitution. And days after, they declared the incumbent governor, of course, Amadu Fintiri, as the winner of the, and which has spiraled into a series of events. And now, a lot of people, even both parties, the ruling party and of course the opposition, called for an investigation, called for prosecution of the resident electoral commissioner, and now President Buhari has come out. What do you think about that?
Yes, I even feel it's a bit late, calling for it now, because he should have been arrested, suspended, prosecuted, before now, because glaringly he did the wrong thing.
Yes.
It's wrong for you to declare a winner while coalition is still going on. And I saw the paper
yes,
that he used in declaring, I'm not like, a bit of mutilated paper,
yes,
handwritten. And I'm like, is this what INEC could give to you to declare?
Yes.
So it's a gross misconduct.
Yes.
So he needs to be prosecuted.
And Femi Falano is also now insisting that Binani is culpable. Because she went on to give her acceptance speech. So, according to Falano, he says Binani is a part of the whole whatever that happened, part of the drama, and he's also urging NBC, the National Broadcasting Commission, to sanction NTA for airing her acceptance speech, because it's been deemed illegal. The whole thing that happened was illegal. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, and I want to use this opportunity to talk to our politicians out there. When you observe the trend, or you notice things are not going well, in the case of Binani, she should have questioned that, okay, is this the right rec to announce me as the winner?
Yes.
And that collation is still ongoing. So why would you hurriedly go to give an acceptance speech? You should know that something is not right somewhere. She should have taken time. I know she's eager to win. Anybody in her position will want to, quickly grab the
she was leading on the last election that was declared inconclusive.
Yeah.
She was actually leading.
Yes, and truthfully, we're kind of compassionate, towards her, that at least want her to come up. So when this now happened, well, I feel she should have, taken it easy, investigated more instead of rushing to go and give an acceptance speech. And this has indicted her.
Yes, it's really. But we'll watch as the story unfolds, and hopefully investigation will be carried out, and definitely, heads will roll. we'll see that. Still on this day newspaper, I have this one. Nigeria's oil reserve fell by 0.22% as gas pool rose by 0.10% in 2022. Also coming from this day newspaper, President and Salah message says 2023 polls so transparent his party lost ground in many states. I also have this one. Tinubu replies presidential transition council submits 13 names to inauguration subcommittees. That's coming from this day newspaper. I have this one also, an interesting one. How Nigeria curbed rice importation and funded smallholder farmers to boost yields. That's according to Emefiele, that's the CBN governor. And lastly, from this day newspaper, Access Holdings boast 15 trillion naira total asset. Gross earnings hit 1.4 trillion naira. What do you have there?
Okay, so on Guardian, we
Yes.
don't really have so much, but written boldly here on Guardian newspaper is, despite express centers, corruption, racketeering, herbal passport application process. Well, it's quite interesting. They said, despite express centers,
Yes.
the express centers is in quote. You know, that's despite fast
Yeah.
tracking the system.
Yes.
You know, corruption, racketeering, herbal passport application process, and it brings to my mind stories I've heard.
Yeah.
People I know so well, they say they go to the passport office,
Yes.
they queue up for long
Yes.
time.
I've been a victim of it.
You know, and then the passport takes months,
Mm.
especially if you refuse to pay for the
Yeah,
express
backdoor.
service. You know, so it takes you months to get your international passport, and I'm like, why should that be? I don't know. What do you have to say about this?
I know sometimes the immigration service, they come out with different stories. Sometimes they say there's lack of paper to print this passport. I know that is one of the major reasons they give for that. But I mean, I think it's something that should be investigated,
It should be.
because for we to come out of this whole thing, because I know, I know my passport will not expire for some years now, but I mean, getting towards the expiration, I start to develop this fear that, hey, my passport is about to expire. You know, the
So
stress.
how will I get it?
How will I get it? And I know a lot of people, some people even travel out of their state to other states to get it when they hear that, it's faster in another state, but it shouldn't be. You should be able to apply in the same state and get it immediately. I mean, we are told that this thing is supposed to not exceed, I think, weeks or months at
Yes.
most. So
And
it
there's
should.
online application
Yes.
to make it easier, so that after applying online, when you get to the passport office, you don't waste much time. But I once applied online, and when I called someone at the passport office that I'm coming, the person said, okay, I should come with extra money to make it faster. I'm like, but I've done the application online.
Yes.
What's the faster process do you want to do? Well, it has to be investigated.
Yes,
We can't continue like this. Nigeria is bigger than this.
Yes.
All right, so on to other headlines, we have continue Ramadan values, be modest, vigilant, Sultan IGP DSS tell Nigerians. INEC denies partisanship as Falana urges NBC to sanction NTA. This is still on Adamawa poll.
Yeah.
India, Nigeria top in children lacking single routine vaccination. And that's all we have on the Guardian newspaper today.
All right, moving on to the Nation newspaper. President Tinubu, governors, and of course the Sultan call for peace at Eid al-Fitr. Also from the Nation newspaper this morning, coming from the DHQ, the Defense Headquarters, May 29 inauguration of Tinubu sacrosanct. That's coming from the Defense Headquarters. This headline is rather funny, but I'll read it out all the same. Buhari axes Adamawa resident electoral commissioner, orders security chiefs probe. It's the major news all over across all headlines. It also says IG, DSS, DG, NSCDC boss get directive to act. That's on page 4. Also from the Nation newspaper, ahead of subsidy removal, federal government plans 6-month petrol stockpile. I also have here government to evacuate Nigerian students from Sudan. And of course, lastly, Lagos issues 5 billion naira bond certificates to retirees, and also reviews judges' pay. Let's look at this subsidy removal. It's it's a bone of contention. It has been debated across all media houses and all that. I know we've been year out, we've been hearing about subsidy being removed, and you would wonder, when are we actually going to remove this subsidy? I know recently also the federal government also acquired about $800 million as palliative to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. What do you think about this?
Yes, I think from the last story I read on subsidy removal, the federal government is looking at July,
yes,
if I'm not wrong. And well, the thing is, when subsidy is removed, it's going to tell on the masses, Nigerians. So I would want federal government to put in place some measures to cushion the effect, on Nigerians. I know in the long run, it will be a good one for Nigeria. So that huge sum spent in subsidy can be directed into healthcare, into education, into key sectors. But for the immediate period, there should be something to cushion the effect, because of course fuel prices will go up.
It will affect
and
all prices of commodities.
Transport
Food,
fare would go up. Everything will go up. So government would have to come up with something at least to help reduce the level of pain.
Yeah, subsidy removal is a good one. If you look at the analysis and if you have someone explain it well, it's actually a good thing for a nation to actually develop fully. We have to do away with subsidy removal. What do you have?
Okay, so the next paper here is Daily Sun, and we have boldly written on Daily Sun, "Why Buhari is after me, Autumn." I know Autumn has been very vocal. He's a very vocal person.
Very, very vocal.
I think about yesterday I heard him say federal government has placed cows over humans, because of the farmer herders clash.
Yes.
And a lot of people died in Benue.
Yes.
So I wouldn't blame him. He's talking out of pain. So why do we keep losing people? Herders, farmers clash, and the farmers, go for it. So that's why. And now he's coming out to say, "Why is Buhari after me?"
Yeah.
Well, do you think Buhari is after him?
Well, the byline says against me, president against me over anti-grazing law.
Exactly.
He, in Benue State, they passed the anti-grazing law, which I think might cause some ripple effect and all that. I know he's always been complaining. He himself was at a point attacked by bandits and all that. So he has been very vocal about this thing, but he has not been able to look for a lasting solution to this problem. And I think he's outgoing, but the few days or months or whatever he has left, he should be able to, if at all cost, come together. Yes, you might be part of your party is the opposition party, but there's a way you and the federal government can come together and find a lasting solution. Because when you leave office, it's still your state, except you are planning to run away from Nigeria. But when you leave office, you are still going to live among these people you claim they are being attacked. So why not fix the problem so that you get a soft landing for yourself? That's what I feel.
Okay, so continue to dialogue. All right, so we also have elections outcome in line with my pledged legacy of free, fair polls. And that's Buhari's talking. You can find that on page 33 of the Daily Sun. We also have Tinubu, Obi, Saraki, Kalu, Ugwanyi, Bello, preach peace, unity, rule of law in this Salah period. Okay, so we also have federal government withdraws immigration case against Seplat CEO, and that's found on page 34. Nigeria has second highest unvaccinated children, says UNICEF. You can read that on page 6. And Buhari approves suspension of INEC Reg Ari orders investigation of police, DSS, NSPD officials. That can be found on page 35 of the paper. We also have here, economists task Tinubu on speedy economic growth. That's IMF's projection. Ukraine president invites president-elect. You can find that on page 33 of the Sun newspaper.
All right, moving on to the Vanguard newspaper. Still the same headline: President Buhari okays suspension of Adamawa Resident Electoral Commission and prosecution. INEC denies meeting with Adamawa government officials to rig polls. An interesting one here: judiciary created crisis in Labour Party. That's according to Oshitokun of the Labour Party. Another one here, on Eid al-Fitr, President Buhari, Tinubu, Obi, NLC, and others felicitate with Muslims and call for unity. That's coming from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And another interesting one: May 29 handover. Tinubu unveils 14-man committee. That's coming. That's on page 5 of the Vanguard. And lastly, on the Vanguard, military battle ready for threat against May 29 handover. That's coming from the defense headquarters. That's from the Vanguard newspaper.
Okay, the next here is the Punch newspaper. And we have 1,262 Nigerian students demand evacuation, 330 residents killed. Nigerian students fill forms for airlifting. Uganda, Tanzania rescue nationals. 3,200 injured as outage, food, water scarcity hit Khartoum, says WHO. And that's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Moon sighted in Saudi Arabia. Muslims mark Eid al-Fitr Friday. That's on page 26 of the newspaper. We also have National Assembly inducts lawmakers elect on May 7. That's on page 28. Another headline here is Banana Island developer planned to rake in 22 billion naira revenue, according to report on page 21. And finally, we have Ogun community, 1 year blackout lingers over IBEDC disagreement. And that's on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. The last paper here with me is Nigerian Tribune. The bold caption here is still on Adamawa poll. It says Buhari approves suspension of REC, orders probe of security officers. We didn't compromise process. INEC counters Binani. Probe allegation of 2 billion naira bribe. Falana tax EFCC, ICPC. That's on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. We also have bandits have taken over 6,000 square kilometers of our land, according to Sokapo on page 8. And it amuses me while we still hear cases of banditry, insurgency in Nigeria. I thought, by now we should be talking about something else, not bandits killing people in Nigeria. It's happening. Okay, the next headline is inauguration. Kiari, Marwa, Ononuga, 11 others make Tinubu's list. That's on page 26. Rainstorm kills 6, sweeps boy away in Delta State. You can find that on page 27. That's the third one. And then gunmen kill 2 immigration officers, university lecturer in Taraba. You find that on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. And we also have Naira redesign. We lost 50 billion naira to egg glut, says poultry farmers. Want FG to mop up 15 to 20 million crates of eggs, says 25 million jobs under threat in poultry subsector. That's on page 8 of Nigerian Tribune. And above the masthead, we have Shawwal moon sighted in Nigeria. Sultan declares today Eid al-Fitr. That's on page 15. You are more than responsible for Benue killings. Autumn blast presidency. Page 8 of Nigerian Tribune. $2.4 billion crude oil probe. Malami said to provide comprehensive report. That's on page 12 of the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, the last one, we're going into sport. This one is coming from the Nation Sporting. Yes, and the headline reads, Juventus versus Napoli. No off day for Osimhen. Striker undergoes therapy session. When to stay in top shape for old lady. You can find that on page 7 of the Nation Sporting. Liverpool ready to let Carvajal leave on loan. That's coming from the Nation Sporting today. Mercy to get contract worth 4 times less. That's also coming from the Nation Sporting today. Saudi lawyer wants Ronaldo deported. That's another trending story. You can find that on page 4 of the Nation Sporting. Levy believes club can win trophy with Kane. That's coming from the Nation Sporting on page 2. Let's take this one again. Red Devils dump out of Europa League. Red Devils jump out of Europa League. You can find that on page 3 of the Nation Sporting. And of course, lastly on the Nation Sporting today, Ayimba versus Remo Stars. Finidi wants players ahead of Abatai. That's on page 7 of the Nation Sporting. And this is where we will round up today's newspaper review on Biscon Television. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to our YouTube page, that's Biscon Television. Click the like button and also subscribe to our YouTube page. I'm Olumide Sokoya.
And I am Stella Opara. Thanks for staying with us.